Welcome to a forgotten chapter of American history, a story etched in ice, blood, and unbreakable human desperation. Before the world knew highways, airplanes, or even steady rail lines, there were men, women, and children chasing one dream, a new life in the West. They believed in hope. They believed in destiny. But destiny had a different plan. This is not a tale of heroes or villains. This is a story about ordinary people tested by impossible choices, and history judged them forever. The year was 1846. America was expanding, hungry for land and opportunity. The whispers of the West, the promise of California's untouched frontier, spread through towns and newspapers like wildfire. Gold was not yet discovered, but dreams were plenty. Families sold everything they owned, packed their wagons, and placed their faith in the horizon. Among them was a group that would enter history not as pioneers, but as a warning carved in ice: the Dooner Party. They numbered 87, farmers, merchants, parents holding infants, young couples full of hope, children chasing a future they could barely imagine. They were led by George Dooner and James Reed, two men determined, respected, confident they could carve a path to a better life. They left Independence, Missouri in the spring, their wagons rolling like a small wooden army, the prairie winds singing through canvas tops, the crack of whips and the creak of wheels echoing across endless grasslands. The trail was harsh, but they were not afraid. People before them had made it. Why not them? But history often pivots on a single decision. A new guidebook appeared that year, written by Lansford Hastings, promising a faster route, a magical shortcut through the mountains, a road few had traveled, a road Hastings himself barely knew, a shortcut that wasn't a shortcut at all, a trap waiting in silence. Reed was tempted. Dooner agreed, and so the group turned left when others went right. They left the known trail and stepped into the unknown. The land was not forgiving. What Hastings failed to tell them was that this shorter way led through deadly deserts and untouched wild terrain. The sun scorched the earth, oxen collapsed, supplies dwindled. They fought through mud, rock, and exhaustion. Wagons broke, tempers flared. A man died. Reed was forced from the group after a violent dispute. Hope cracked, but no one dared turn back. By the time they reached the Sierra Nevada mountains, winter had already begun whispering on the wind. The first snowflake fell like a warning, then another, and then a storm. A white wall descended from the mountains, burying the land, swallowing the trail, trapping the wagons like insects in amber. They were only miles from safety, but snow piled 20 feet high stood between them and salvation. And so began the winter of despair. The mountains roared with wind, trees bent under ice, wolves watched from the dark. Food vanished, hunger gnawed their ribs, oxen bones cracked under teeth, leather boots boiled in pots for bitter broth. Children cried through the night, their voices fading like dying lanterns. Days passed, weeks, no rescue, no escape, just snow, cold, and hunger. Some prayed, some cursed fate, some whispered the unthinkable. And eventually, nature forced their hands. One by one, the weakest fell. Bodies lay still under blankets of frost. Mothers held lifeless children. Brothers buried brothers, beneath snow no shovel could break. And when starvation clawed deeper than morality, when death became the only thing around them, they chose survival over sanctity. They ate the dead. Even as we speak their story, the winds of Sierra Nevada seem to howl in judgment. But do not judge them too quickly. None of us know the choices we'd make when death whispers at our ear, when ribs ache from hunger, when breath freezes before it leaves our lips, when hope feels like a distant dream and the world turns silent and white. A rescue team eventually came, weak, shaking, frostbitten men driven by humanity and courage. They climbed through blizzards, calling names into the icy void. They found cabins of broken wood and broken souls, faces pale as snow, eyes hollow, bodies trembling in both cold and guilt. 87 had started. Only 48 survived. Children became orphans. Mothers became legends. And America gained a story that still chills the heart. When spring came, the mountains melted as if trying to wash away the memory. But history remembers. It always remembers. The Dooner Party walked with dreams and left behind a lesson in survival, humanity, and the fragile line between life and death. If you stood in their frozen camp, if the wind howled and hunger tore at your body, if a loved one lay still beside you, what would you choose? We often speak of courage, but survival has its own kind of bravery. This story is not just tragedy. It is proof of human will, of the raw instinct to live, even when hope is buried beneath snow and tears. History is not made only by victories. Sometimes it is made by scars. Thank you for stepping into the forgotten shadows of America's past. More lost stories, more hidden truths, and more mysteries await. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow The Secret Buried in Time, where we travel into history's darkest corners to bring forgotten souls back to light. Until next time, stay curious, stay human, and remember, the mountains still whisper.